Have you ever prayed, hoped and waited, and wondered if God even heard you? Have you ever seen doors close in your life and felt the sting of disappointment so sharp that it made you cry silently in your room? Today, I want to tell you something that will shake your spirit. God's timing is about to make you cry. Tears of joy, not tears of sorrow, not tears of frustration, but tears that will wash away every burden, every doubt, and every fear. If you stay with me for the next few minutes, I will show you why the delay you have been fighting against, the weight that has been testing your faith, is actually God's perfect preparation. And by the end of this message, your heart will be overwhelmed with hope, and you will understand why waiting for God's timing is not just necessary, it is life-changing. Many of us have been there, standing at the crossroads of life, praying, hoping, and yet seeing nothing happen. Doors that we thought would open remain shut. Opportunities that seemed certain vanish before our eyes. We cry out to God, and in the silence we wonder, has He forgotten me? The truth is, the very thing you see as a delay, the waiting you despise, the period of silence you cannot understand, is not denial. It is preparation. God's delay is not a rejection. It is His perfect timing unfolding. You see, in the human mind, time is measured by hours, days, and years. But in God's economy, time is measured by purpose. What looks late to you is on time for God. What seems overdue to you is exactly when it should be. And the moment you understand this, your faith begins to rise and your heart begins to see the unseen. Think about the story of Joseph. He was sold into slavery by his own brothers, falsely accused and thrown into prison. How long did he wait before his dream came to pass? Years. But if Joseph had received his promotion the moment he had the dream, he would not have been prepared to handle the responsibility. The delay was not denial. It was God's way of shaping him, molding him, teaching him lessons that no one else could teach. Every trial, every moment of waiting, every tear that fell in the silence of the night was God's workshop, preparing Joseph for the throne. And when that moment finally came, his promotion was not just a relief, it was a triumph that changed the course of nations. You see, the delay itself is a message, a divine message that says, I am preparing you. I am working in ways you cannot see. Trust me. Sometimes God's delay is a test of your faith. It is easy to believe when everything is working in your favor. But true faith is forged in the fire of waiting, in the pressure of uncertainty, in the moments when hope seems faint and your heart aches with longing. It is in these moments that God is teaching you to trust Him, not the circumstances around you. Every delay, every closed door, every not yet is a silent teacher. It whispers, hold on, do not compromise. Do not give in. I have something better than you can imagine. And when you finally arrive at the moment He has prepared, you will look back and see the wisdom behind every delay. You will realize that His timing is always perfect, even when it seems painful. Many of us struggle because we measure success by speed rather than purpose. We become frustrated because we see others moving ahead, receiving blessings we desire while we feel stuck. But God is not in a hurry to match your schedule. He is careful to match His purpose with your life. He is meticulous, crafting every detail of your journey so that when the time comes, everything aligns perfectly. What you see as a delay is often His way of protecting you from things you are not ready to handle or guiding you to places where His blessings will be multiplied. If you try to rush, if you try to force what is not yet ready, you may miss the fullness of His plan. God's timing is precise, and patience is the key to unlocking His blessings. Even in your waiting, God is working. You may feel stagnant, but behind the scenes, spiritual forces are moving. The prayers you offered, the tears you shed, the faith you exercised in silence, all of these are part of a divine process. Your life is not paused, it is being prepared. Your delay is His design, and the day you finally see the breakthrough, you will realize that every moment of waiting, every season of seeming inactivity was necessary to create the fullness of your victory. Your heart will overflow with gratitude, and your spirit will rejoice in a way that is unmatched by anything you could have achieved on your own. So today, if you are standing at a closed door, if you feel forgotten, if your prayers seem unanswered, I want you to hear this clearly. God's delay is not denial. Your breakthrough is coming. The waiting is working. He is preparing you for something so magnificent, so beyond your imagination, that when it finally arrives, it will make you cry. Not tears of pain, but tears of joy. The delay is His love in disguise, His wisdom in action, His perfect timing unfolding. Trust Him, hold on, keep the faith, for the God who has brought you this far will not leave you now. And when the time comes, every tear, every struggle, every moment of waiting will be forgotten, replaced by a joy so overwhelming that your heart cannot contain it. Remember, the next time you feel delayed, the next time life seems unfair, the next time your dreams seem distant, do not despair. God is not late, He is not absent, He is simply preparing the perfect moment to bring you into a destiny so glorious that even your strongest doubts will be silenced. God's delay is His divine preparation, and your faithfulness in the waiting is the key to your ultimate victory. Have you ever noticed that some of the most powerful testimonies in life come from people who have cried more than they have laughed? There is a divine purpose behind every tear you shed, every moment of grief, and every season of disappointment. God does not waste a single tear. In fact, He often uses our tears as the seeds of triumph, the very moments that feel unbearable, the nights that seem endless, the pain that pierces your heart. These are the moments when God is quietly working, planting the foundations of your victory. You see, tears are not signs of weakness, they are signs of preparation. They are evidence that God is aligning your heart, your mind, and your life for something far greater than you could achieve without them. Consider the life of Hannah in the Bible. She wept bitterly because she longed for a child and felt hopeless in her circumstances. But her tears were not meaningless. Her cries before God were seeds sown in faith, seeds that would eventually bring forth the blessing of Samuel, a prophet who changed the destiny of a nation. Every tear she shed was a testimony of her trust, a demonstration that her heart was willing to wait, to pray, and to hope. And when God answered, her sorrow was transformed into joy, her pain into purpose. Your tears today are doing exactly the same thing. They are evidence that your heart is alive to God's promise, evidence that your spirit is open to receive the miracle that only He can provide. Tears are also the language of transformation. Often we pray for change in our lives, but change does not happen without a process. The process of growth, healing, and preparation is rarely painless. Tears are part of that process. They wash away the old hurts, the doubts, and the fears. They soften a hardened heart, making it fertile soil for God's blessings to take root. Just as rain nourishes the earth before it produces fruit, our tears nourish the spirit, preparing it to receive the abundance of God's promises. Each tear is a step closer to your breakthrough, a sign that God is actively working even when you cannot see it. Sometimes, tears are the proof that God is near. When life overwhelms you and circumstances press down, tears are the divine mechanism that draws you closer to Him. They humble you, reminding you that you cannot do it alone. They remind you to rely on God's strength rather than your own. In the quiet of your sorrow, God is speaking, guiding, and comforting you. The tears that fall in those moments are not wasted. They are an intimate conversation with your Creator, a silent prayer that sets the stage for outpouring of joy that will leave you breathless. What you feel as pain today is the very thing that God will use to lift you higher tomorrow. The beauty of tears is that they eventually lead to overflowing joy. The Bible tells us that weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. This is not just a poetic phrase, it is a principle of God's kingdom. Every tear you shed in faith, every heartache you endure while trusting Him, is a deposit for a future joy so profound that your spirit will rejoice beyond words. You will cry, not because of sadness, but because of the magnitude of God's goodness and faithfulness. The tears that once seemed like sorrow will be transformed into tears of gratitude, laughter, and awe. God has a way of taking the heaviest burdens and turning them into the most beautiful testimonies. Do not despise your tears. Do not think that because you are crying, you are failing. On the contrary, tears are a sign that God is at work in your life. They are evidence that your faith has not given up, that your hope is alive, and that your spirit is receptive to God's miraculous intervention. Every tear is a step closer to the fulfillment of your destiny. God allows the storms, the disappointments, and the moments of grief so that when the rain of His blessings falls, it will be overwhelming. And in that moment, you will see that every tear was worth it, every hardship necessary, and every trial purposeful. Remember, tears are not a curse. They are a blessing in disguise. They are God's way of showing you that He is preparing something bigger than you could imagine. The moments that make you cry today are the moments that will prepare you for your breakthrough tomorrow. You will look back and see that your tears were the tools God used to shape your character, deepen your faith, and align your heart with His perfect plan. What once seemed like suffering will become the story of your triumph. Your tears are the seeds, and God is the gardener who will bring them to full bloom. So when life feels heavy, when sorrow presses down, and when the tears fall uncontrollably, remember this: God is not ignoring you. He is not punishing you. He is planting the seeds of your victory, and those seeds are growing even now. Your crying is not the end. It is the beginning of a story so beautiful, so powerful, that when it unfolds, it will make you weep for joy, lift your spirit, and glorify God in ways that will inspire everyone around you. Trust Him. Keep praying, keep believing, keep shedding those tears, because they are the tears that will birth your triumph. Many people do not understand the power of divine timing. We live in a world that moves at lightning speed, where instant results are expected and patience is undervalued. We want answers yesterday, blessings today, and solutions immediately. But God's timing does not operate according to human schedules. It is precise, intentional, and perfectly aligned with His plan for your life. What He allows to be delayed is not because He has forgotten you, but because He is orchestrating something so perfect that when it arrives, it will exceed anything you could imagine. Divine timing is about precision, not speed. It is about preparation, not convenience. And when God finally acts, it will be so flawless that it will leave everyone, including you, in awe. Think about Abraham and Sarah. They were promised a child, a covenant from God that seemed impossible by natural standards. Yet years passed, and the wait seemed endless. Sarah laughed, Abraham doubted, and the world around them seemed to mock their faith. But God's timing was impeccable. He knew the exact moment when the promise needed to be fulfilled so that it would align perfectly with His divine purpose. When Isaac was finally born, it was not just a child, it was the fulfillment of a covenant, a miracle that changed the trajectory of generations. The timing was so perfect that it revealed God's wisdom, His faithfulness, and His sovereignty. In the same way, God's timing in your life is orchestrated to reveal His glory. Every delay, every waiting period, every not yet is intentional. It is not random. It is a masterpiece being painted in your life, stroke by stroke, moment by moment. Divine timing is also about protection. Sometimes we think we know what is best for ourselves, and we want God to act according to our understanding. We pray, we plan, and we push, believing that we are ready. But God sees the bigger picture. He sees the storms we cannot anticipate, the pitfalls we cannot avoid, and the lessons we are not yet ready to learn. By delaying, He is protecting us from premature blessings, from opportunities that would have led to compromise, and from circumstances we are not equipped to handle. What looks like a setback is actually a safeguard. God is ensuring that when the time comes, you are fully prepared to receive His blessings and walk in them with wisdom, strength, and gratitude. The precision of His timing ensures that His plans for you are never hindered by human impatience or miscalculation. The power of divine timing also transforms ordinary moments into extraordinary miracles. Think about the story of Esther. She became queen not by accident, but at the exact time she was needed to save her people. If she had been elevated earlier or later, the outcome would have been completely different. God's timing is strategic, and every detail of your life is part of His grand plan. The people you meet, the opportunities you encounter, the doors that open and close, all are orchestrated by Him. When God acts, everything aligns perfectly. The timing is so precise that your heart will recognize His hand, and your spirit will rejoice in the perfection of His plan. Nothing about His timing is coincidental. Everything is intentional, and every delay has a divine purpose. Faith is required to embrace divine timing. Waiting is not easy. It tests patience, challenges belief, and stretches hope to its limits. But those who wait in faith are rewarded beyond measure. While others may give up, God's faithful ones continue to trust, pray, and believe, knowing that His timing is never wrong. Faith allows you to see the unseen, to trust in what is not yet visible, and to remain confident that God is working even when circumstances suggest otherwise. The longer the wait, the greater the miracle. The more patient the heart, the stronger the testimony. Divine timing requires trust, but the results are worth every moment of waiting, every trial endured, and every prayer offered in hope. Finally, when God's timing is fulfilled, it will surpass all expectation. The answer will not just satisfy, it will overwhelm. The breakthrough will not merely solve a problem, it will transform your life. The blessing will not simply arrive, it will exceed your imagination. And in that moment, you will understand that every day of waiting, every struggle endured, and every tear shed was perfectly orchestrated for this very hour. You will see that God's timing is not only precise, it is perfect, intentional, and always good. It is a timing that makes the impossible possible, the delayed inevitable, and the unseen reality. God's timing is not just about what happens. It is about when it happens, and that when is always perfect. So if you are struggling with waiting, if you feel frustrated, impatient, or even hopeless, remember this: God's timing is precise. He is not late. He is not absent. He is orchestrating your life with care, wisdom, and love. Trust the process. Hold on to your faith and believe that the moment He has prepared for you will be beyond anything you have ever imagined. The power of divine timing is not just a concept. It is a promise, a reality, and a force that will move your life from ordinary to extraordinary. When God acts, it will be flawless, undeniable, and life-changing. Wait, believe, and watch, because the timing of God is about to make you weep with awe and joy. Waiting is one of the greatest tests of faith. It is easy to trust God when everything is going your way, when doors open quickly and blessings seem to come without effort. But true faith is revealed not in the ease of life, but in the endurance of waiting. It is in the moments when the silence seems deafening, when prayers appear unanswered, and when hope feels fragile, that faith is refined and strengthened. Waiting is not wasted time. It is not a punishment. It is the training ground where God builds resilience, deepens trust, and prepares your heart for the fullness of His promises. The longer you wait, the stronger your faith becomes, and the more powerful your testimony will be. Consider the example of Job. For years he endured loss, pain, and suffering that seemed unbearable. Everything he loved was taken from him, yet he did not curse God. He waited even when despair surrounded him, even when friends questioned him, and even when his own understanding faltered. In his waiting, his faith was tested and purified. And when God finally restored him, it was more than a return to what he had lost. It was an abundance that surpassed his previous blessings. Waiting is the battlefield of faith, and those who remain steadfast, even in silence and hardship, discover the power of God's faithfulness in ways that the impatient cannot comprehend. The wait is not a delay. It is the refining fire of faith, that transforms ordinary believers into extraordinary vessels of God's glory. The waiting period is also a time of preparation. God uses the moments of apparent inactivity to equip you with everything you will need for the breakthrough ahead. He is teaching you patience, humility, and perseverance. He is preparing your heart to receive the blessings that are coming, and He is aligning your circumstances so that when the time arrives, every detail will fall perfectly into place. Just as a farmer waits for the seed to grow, even though he cannot see the roots forming beneath the soil, you must trust that God is working invisibly on your behalf. Every moment of waiting, every moment of uncertainty is an essential part of your divine preparation. The breakthrough is coming, but God is making sure you are ready to receive it fully and walk in it wisely. Faith in the waiting also means trusting God when the outcome seems impossible. It is easy to believe in what you can see, but God calls you to believe in what you cannot see. Abraham and Sarah were promised a child, yet decades passed and natural circumstances made the promise seem impossible. But their faith in God's word, their trust in His timing, and their patience in the waiting period brought forth a miracle. Waiting is not passive, it is active faith. It is holding on to God's promises, speaking His word over your life, praying persistently, and refusing to give in to doubt or despair. The longer you wait with faith, the greater the miracle that is being prepared for you. Waiting also develops spiritual maturity. It teaches you to lean on God rather than your own understanding, to trust His wisdom rather than your own plan, and to surrender control of your life into His hands. In the waiting, your character is strengthened. Your heart is softened. Your priorities are refined. You learn to value what is eternal over what is temporary, and to trust that God's plans are higher and better than anything you could imagine. The waiting period is not a punishment. It is a spiritual workshop where God molds you into the person you need to be for the life He has prepared. Your endurance, your patience, and your faithfulness during this time will produce a testimony that will inspire generations. Finally, faith in the waiting leads to overwhelming joy. There is a unique beauty in a breakthrough that comes after a season of waiting. The longer you have hoped, prayed, and believed, the sweeter the fulfillment will be. When God finally moves, the joy is multiplied. Tears of frustration are replaced with tears of gratitude. Doubt is replaced with awe. The blessing is not just appreciated, it is cherished because it came at the right time, in the right way, and according to God's perfect plan. Waiting teaches you to value the answer, to rejoice in the process, and to trust that God's timing is always precise. The wait is never wasted, the silence is never empty, and the delay is never meaningless. Every moment of waiting is a divine investment that will yield an eternal harvest of joy, peace, and victory. So today, if you feel weary, if your faith is tested, and if the waiting seems too long, remember this: waiting is not failure, it is faith in action. Every moment you endure with trust in God, every day you hold on when the answers are not visible, and every prayer you continue to lift with hope is preparing you for the miraculous breakthrough that is coming. Faith in the waiting transforms ordinary patience into extraordinary power. It prepares you for God's perfect timing, aligns you with His will, and strengthens your spirit for the blessings that are about to overflow in your life. Stay faithful, remain steadfast, and never underestimate the power of believing while you wait, for your miracle is on the way, and it will be more glorious than you ever imagined. When God moves, His timing does more than bring answers. It transforms lives. The moment of divine fulfillment is not just a solution to your problems. It is a revelation of His glory, power, and faithfulness. Your tears, your struggles, your years of waiting all converge into a single moment where the heavens seem to open and your spirit overflows with joy. The moment God releases His blessings, it is so overwhelming that your heart will be flooded with emotions you cannot contain. You will cry, not from sorrow, not from despair. but from a joy so deep, so profound, that it will make every tear of waiting seem small in comparison. These are not ordinary tears. They are tears of victory, tears of gratitude, and tears of awe at the miraculous ways God works in your life. Consider the story of the Israelites crossing the Red Sea. For generations, they had waited for freedom. They had endured slavery, suffering, and despair. The moment God intervened, He did not merely open a path for them. He performed a miracle so spectacular that it changed their destiny forever. The water parted, the enemy was defeated, and freedom was fully realized. Their tears of longing and pain were transformed into tears of praise and triumph. When God's timing arrives in your life, it will have that same overwhelming effect. The breakthrough will not be subtle or ordinary. It will be unmistakable, undeniable, and glorious. Every tear you have shed, every prayer you have whispered, and every moment of faithful endurance will be validated in that divine moment. The joy that follows God's timing is not just emotional, it is transformational. It reshapes your perspective, strengthens your faith, and deepens your relationship with God. You will see that what once seemed impossible was only delayed so that His glory could be revealed in full. Every closed door, every disappointment, every season of waiting becomes a part of your testimony. You will no longer see delays as obstacles, but as necessary steps toward the miracle that was destined for you. Your joy will not just be personal, it will inspire those around you, showing them the power of God's timing and the beauty of patience in faith. Tears of joy also testify to God's faithfulness in a profound way. When the long-awaited blessing arrives, the depth of your previous suffering highlights the magnitude of the miracle. You realize that nothing was wasted, nothing was random, and nothing was beyond God's control. The blessings will not simply meet your expectations. They will surpass them. Your heart will overflow, and the joy will be so intense that it will touch every area of your life. What you once thought was impossible will now be your testimony. And the people around you will see the hand of God in ways that are undeniable, leaving no room for doubt or disbelief. Your tears of joy will be a living proof that God's timing is perfect. This joy is not fleeting, it is lasting. When God fulfills His promises, it is not just a momentary blessing, it is a transformation that resonates through your life. Your faith is strengthened, your hope is renewed, and your spirit is uplifted. You will look back on the seasons of waiting with gratitude, seeing them not as lost time, but as preparation for the fullness of His blessing. Your life will be marked by a testimony of patience rewarded, trust vindicated, and faith made fruitful. The tears that once signified struggle now signify triumph, and they will forever remind you that God's timing is perfect, intentional, and life-changing. Moreover, the joy that comes after waiting inspires others. Your breakthrough becomes a beacon of hope to those who are still in the valley, still waiting, still crying out for answers. Your experience demonstrates that God's timing is not only perfect but personal, tailored for each life according to His wisdom. People will look at your story and see a living example of how faith, patience, and trust in God produce results that the human mind could never imagine. Your tears of joy will speak louder than any words, showing the power of perseverance and the reality of miracles. Finally, when God's timing brings fulfillment, it creates a spiritual momentum that propels your life forward. Every door that opens, every blessing that manifests, and every victory that is realized will not just satisfy the immediate need, it will set the stage for greater things. Your tears of joy mark the beginning of a new chapter, a season where God's favor and blessings are poured out abundantly. You will live with a renewed sense of purpose, gratitude, and awe, knowing that the God who made you wait so long is the very same God who has elevated you into a life of abundance and glory. Your heart will overflow, your spirit will rejoice, and your life will testify to the miraculous power of God's timing. So today, if you have been waiting, crying, hoping, and praying, know this: the moment is coming when your tears will be transformed into a river of joy. Your breakthrough will be so overwhelming that every sorrow will be forgotten, every disappointment erased, and every moment of faith rewarded. You will cry, not because of pain, but because of the sheer magnitude of God's goodness. That moment is coming, and it will leave you breathless, grateful, and overflowing with praise. Your tears of joy will declare to the world that God's timing is perfect, His promises are true, and His love is beyond measure. Hold on, keep believing, and prepare your heart, because God's timing is about to make you weep. And these tears will be the most beautiful tears of your life.